Yes, Kenya. Tamu sana, tamu sana, tamu sana, yes. For some days now, the story of Ann Njeri, this woman who imported oil into the country, her story has been hitting the headlines. She has been missing for some days now, and she resurfaced today. In this video, I want us to highlight on some issues pertaining to that story that I know can give Kenyans an insight as to what is happening with all this story of Ann Njeri. But before we do that, let's listen to Ann Njeri upon her resurfacing. Listen to this.
Ann Njeri Ksh, the woman at the heart of an imported fuel tussle, says she is the legitimate owner of the 100,000 metric tons of fuel. Ann Njeri says she was kidnapped by DCI officers shortly after interrogation on Thursday last week and her personal items confiscated, and that she was then locked up in a house whose location she cannot determine, as she was blindfolded by the officers as they took her there. She says the officers who kidnapped her demanded that she must drop the court case on ownership of the fuel and renounce her claim to the consignment. Speaking outside the Mombasa Law Courts, Njeri said the officers released her near Nyayo Estate, Embakasi, on Monday night. She says she will pursue the imported fuel, which she accuses the government of forcibly taking against court orders she had obtained prohibiting offloading or departure of the ship that brought it. Njeri says she went to court in Mombasa this morning with her advocates, among them Cliff Ombeta, who sounded the alarm on her disappearance to pursue the issue of violation of court orders on the fuel consignment. The businesswoman says her life is in danger.
Nimekuwa nikisubiri kila wakati kupewa import permit ambayo sikuwa ninajua inahitajika, na wakati tunasubiri nilienda kumuona CS Chirichir, na ndio akaniambia mafuta sio yangu tena, mafuta ni ya kampuni inajiita Garana. Kaambia sijauza mafuta yangu wala sijasaini mkataba na hiyo kampuni inajiita Garana, kwa hivyo mafuta ni yangu. Ndio akasema haiwezekani na nifanye kwenda kwa CID headquarters kurecord statement, na nikafanya vile, na kufika pale after kumaliza ndio ilikuwa wakati wangu wa kutoweka.
Kwa hii mali ni ya Ann Njeri, kwa sababu kisema hatutakuruhusu ufanye biashara hapa ama ulete mizigo hapa. So hii system ambayo tunakuwa nayo ni aina gani hiyo? Hii ni sheria aina gani? Hii ni serikali aina gani? Kama serikali yenyewe ndio majambazi, sisi tutaenda wapi? Ann ataenda wapi? Ann ni mtu mfanyibiashara tena kwa miaka mingi, si mtu mdogo, ana kampuni zake na amepeleka mafuta nchi zingine nyingi sana. Mafuta yangeletwa hapa hivi yalete bei iwe chini kidogo, inakuwa ni shida. Sasa Ann ananyang'anywa kwanza, alafu anaambiwa asirudi hapa tena.
Listening to Ann Njeri, there are some issues that we want to bring to the attention of Kenyans for them to see exactly, even without being told, what's happening behind the scenes. The first issue that Kenyans should and must know: why is it that the global oil prices are coming down, but in Kenya, oil prices are going up? Why is that the case? Secondly, why is it that if somebody imports oil into the country, an importation that is clearly going to give the government competition, because as things are right now, is the government that is importing oil into the country, why is it that if somebody, an investor, a business person, imports oil into the country, then that person is being threatened and the oil being taken away from him or her. I think those two questions can help us understand the games being played behind the scenes. Let me start by saying this. Government to government oil deal is only benefiting some cartels in the government. These cartels, for every liter being sold in Kenya today, they are getting their percentages. And that cannot happen without the express authority from the highest office in the land. It means the highest office in the land has sanctioned that. That's why it's happening. So some cartels are benefiting from the government oil deal. And we still remember that William Ruto said some times back that government to government oil deal was going to ease the pressure on the dollar, hence strengthening the Kenyan shillings. That has not happened. The Kenyan shillings is on a free fall. So it's very clear that the government to government oil deal was a scheme by this government to lock out oil competitors so that it could have that monopoly. So they could set any price as they so wish. So some people in this government are milking Kenyans dry using this government to government oil deal. And to the second issue, why is it that they don't want somebody to import oil into the country? Somebody importing oil into the country, for example, now Ann Njeri, is going to expose this government very badly. And from what we are gathering, is that Ann Njeri's oil was going to be sold at a cheaper price by around 40%. So per liter, assuming the government is selling a liter at 100 shillings, Ann Njeri's liter was to be sold at 60 bob. So you are seeing that it was going to badly expose the government. And the government's cartels were not pleased with that. Listening to Ann Njeri and looking at the prevailing situation in the country, where oil prices globally are coming down, while in Kenya they are rising, and then you are seeing somebody importing oil into the country and the oil being snatched by the government. That confirms that the government does not want competition. It wants to continue oppressing Kenyans, selling to Kenyans oil at the price it wants. This government does not want competition. Another issue also coming out, why is it that in the recent days, or rather in the recent weeks and months, we are seeing a series of kidnappings? Rai was kidnapped. Before being kidnapped, he was branded a cartel by the government. And the moment the government brands somebody cartel, some Kenyans are foolishly believing the government, not knowing that the government is the biggest cartel, a cartel that is actually oppressing Kenyans. We saw Rai being kidnapped, after which he was released, and I think he withdrew a case he had in court. This Ann Njeri is saying that she was also kidnapped. So there is this pattern where investors, business individuals are being kidnapped and then they're being threatened. That's not how to run a country. Maina Njega was also kidnapped. That's not how to run a country. This is a country that is being governed by the rule of law. Why is the government using some extrajudicial ways of handling issues in this country? I think it's high time Kenyans should reject that and say no. We cannot allow that to continue. By allowing that to continue, these kidnappings will degenerate into assassinations. That's my worry. And if this trend continues, then very many businesses are going to die. And we have seen the government cannot employ Kenyans. So these investors, all these business individuals, they are the ones who are actually employing Kenyans. So by the government trying to kill their businesses, more and more Kenyans are going to be rendered jobless. I hope Kenyans can now get a glimpse of what's happening here. This lady most definitely was going to bring a cheaper oil into the country than this government-to-government oil that is going up while the global one is going down. Let me stop it there, ladies and gentlemen. If you are watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give this video a like. If you want to support us, contact me through that number below, or feel free to channel any kind of a support to that number. That will enable our channel to grow more strong and stronger, rather to grow stronger and stronger. Yes. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Kenya.